veterans minimum. I hate seeing that. I made vet minimum last year.
We're here in the building. My guy, Super Bowl champion, Will Blackmon. What up?
What a dude, man. What a dude. I was laughing because, like, veterans minimum, I remember negotiating deals. They were like, look, you're going to get veterans minimum. So I kind of got, like, PTSD looking at this damn logo.
It's the play on words in the sports world, man.
It is. What's the deal? I'm happy to finally be on your show. Look at this. You got the big logo on the back. I got the fresh gear upstairs.
It's funny. A lot of my buddies have been like, yo, how come you haven't asked Will to be on your show? I was like, I want to get Will on the show in person. I don't want to do the whole over webcam kind of thing. Though the dynamic is dope, in person is just way better.
I feel you. So listen, this is your show. I'm not talking. So I'm listening to you.
so here's the thing, right? I've done thousands of podcasts in my life. This is the first time I talked to someone that won a championship for one of my favorite teams.
How about that?
How's that?
But it's like legit, like your team.
Yeah,
not like a favorite team. Like I have favorite teams. This is like your team.
Nah, number 1 draft pick overall, New York Giants.
Boom.
And you know about this. You see me stressing every time we do the show when they're losing
stress
these
every
games.
time. You were stressing today because Mike Glenn got knocked out. So now you have no quarterbacks. Logan Ryan.
Prayers and help. That's what we need. Dude, tell me a little bit about that season, man. You were telling me before when we linked up and we were hanging out watching the game. Another thing I want to say, I feel like I know football. You're casually just watching the game and you're like eating your chicken wings and you're like, oh, run to the right. Boom, run to the right. And then he's like, oh, he's going to do like an outcut. And I was like, man, there's levels.
I was chilling with my feet up in the room eating wings and calling out plays.
Yo, that was because like I'll watch a game sometimes and then I'll notice something and I might call it out once every 20, 30 plays.
See tendencies and
right, you see tendencies.
Like
you see a certain guy coming in motion. You've seen that play before. But for you to just do it on like a whole drive, you call like 4 and 5 plays was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's just how I watch football, man. I watch it like I'm studying film. Like towards the second half of my career, like year 7 and on, I really, really learned like how to watch film. And so now, and I not only learned, but I became obsessed with watching film. So now when I watch it, I'm so used to like situational football because that's the NFL. The NFL is all situational football. Everybody runs the same plays offensively, defensively, special teams. So it's just situation. Then you know the coordinator, you know the tendencies, you know the formations, you know the down distance, you know the clock, you know all these things. And so when I would watch film and study, you have to study enough so that you can process those things in a matter of like 3 seconds. So right, you're like, okay, play's over. Then you're like, all right, what down is it? Okay, it's third and 7. Okay, 3rd and 7. You're kind of like, okay, we're probably they need to get to the stick. So we might run some pressure here, because they need more time to throw this football. So then you get the call, whatever they call a pressure as you expected. Is it man pressure? Is it zone pressure? Is it a little bit of both? And then, boom, you get the call. Well, no, then you see what personnel they're in.
How they're lining up.
Well, no, who's in the game? Is it 12 personnel, which is 1 running back, 2 tight ends? Or is it 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back? So that gives you a situation what they're going to do, depending on. So you get all that stuff before you line up.
And you got to do that in what, 20, 25 seconds?
No, you got to do that in like 3 or 5 because they lined up.
That's right.
So you get the call and you line up. So then, if you're matched up, you got to find your guy. If you're not matched up, you go to your side. Then you're looking around, observing, go through the cadence. If somebody motions or shifts, then it changes your call. Maybe a tight end goes to the complete other side, called tight end trade. That changes the whole strength of the formation. So now the calls completely change. Dog is nuts. And then ball snaps. Let's go.
And then you got to do it again.
Yeah. For 3 hours, bro.
What changes? What changed that made you understand film more year 6, 7? Like
because I wasn't making any plays, and I was trying to make plays just based off pure athleticism. Because my numbers were off the charts in terms of what I did athletically, and I can play any position. But if you want to be effective, you have to study because they're studying you. So they're finding ways to get a chink in your armor. You got to find a ways. It's literally a chess match because you have film, so everybody knows what's going on. So for me, it was like, man, I need to figure this thing out. And I remember my teammate at the time in Green Bay, Charles Woodson, he was making plays, but he wasn't even practicing. He was going to say, you got to practice, you got to practice, you got to practice. Charles did not practice my first year in Green Bay, and he went to the damn Pro Bowl. I think he had like 7 to 8 picks, something like that. And so I remember the next year he wasn't practicing again, but he was still making plays. And I'm like, I don't know how he's doing it. I said, I'm going to figure this thing out. Let me go watch film. So I go back to the facility one day on my own at night. It was like 7:30, and I go into the defensive back room, and somebody left the projector on because I saw the blue light. But apparently somebody was changing whatever they were watching, and I go in, and it's Charles. Charles is in there at 7:30 watching tape, and he said, hey, come have a seat. I'll show you some things. I was like, yeah, I'm going to sit down.
Now, this is when you saw him not practicing?
Yeah, so this is my second year in the NFL.
Okay.
And he showed me how to watch. I saw him watching film at night when everybody was gone. And he sat down. He said, hey, sit down. I'll show you some stuff. So he was showing me like tendencies. He was showing formations and plays. And he kind of came up with like, hey, if I see a play on film that jumps up 3 times, if I see that matchup in the game, he said, I'm just going to jump it. I'm going to play the tendencies, right? I'm going to jump the route. So if they run this same play every time on 3rd and 3, and I see it show up in like 4 different games, they run 3rd and 3, they run this, let's say, dragon, which is a drag slant. He said, if I see it 3rd and 3 and the formation is the same, he said, I'm just going to jump it. If they do something different, good for them. But usually they don't. That's how he made all his plays. And then when I turn on the light, the whole room looked like a chemistry lab. He wrote a game plan like within the game plan.
That's how you end up going to the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, when you take no, seriously though, when you take a legit like a superstar athlete and he prepares like that, you get a Hall of Famer.
How many guys you played with that were so talented, but they didn't really pop off on tape because they never did that next step of research?
That's the norm.
Films?
That's the norm.
So there's a lot of guys that
There's
are just...
a lot of guys who don't know how. Yeah. If anyone who has been healthy and only played like 3 or 4 years, is probably why.
So it's not a fit and physical thing. It's a more mental. You would say
it is 100% mental. Oh yeah. Like when you say like, hey, that system doesn't fit his style. You can adjust somebody, but at the same time, like it's about the preparation and study, man. Like that is absolutely everything. Because what that did is it 100% slowed the game down. Because you know everything. Just like how all the gambling and odds and all that stuff. Like you can just rattle off and it's second nature to you. When you study film like that, the game is second nature. So I got to the point where, okay, I'll go through a week on how I prepared, right? So let's say we just played Sunday. After the game, if it's an away game, I'll probably watch the game on the iPad on the plane. If it's a home game, I'll just go home and probably like chill out and I'll watch the night games if we have a day game. And then Monday, we'll come in, we'll review the game as a team. And then we'll kind of like introduce the next team. And so maybe I'll like look at a little bit of the next team, just maybe more of the stats and the roster who's playing. And then Tuesday is our day off. But because I know the practice plan Tuesday, I will watch first and second down only. And that's
why?
Because Wednesdays, that's what we're practicing. We're practicing first and second down on Wednesdays. So I will preview it. And that's usually your runs and play actions, right? Like first and second down. So I will watch only that in advance just so I can get a step ahead for Wednesday. So then Wednesday we go through it. Then when I get home Wednesday, I usually come back to the facility because it's easy to watch film there. I'll come back at night. I would review our Wednesdays, and then I will watch third down only, because on Thursday we're gonna go over third down. So it's complete third down practice.
There's a whole practice dedicated just to third down?
We'll review first, second down a little bit, but it's dedicated to third down. Maybe some 2 minutes in there. So I will, I will preview third down. Then Thursday will come third down, and then we'll do third down all day. Then after practice, same thing. I will review third down, and then I will preview 2-minute red zone goal line short yardage. Because Friday, that's what we're gonna do. Friday's a shorter day.
It's like a walkthrough?
No, we have a full on, because we got to get real live situations. We won't tackle, but it's full speed. And then Friday, I'll probably review a little bit, but usually I'll either just chill or take the kids out, take my wife out to dinner or something like that. And then when Saturday comes, I'll watch full games. And by then, we'll probably have the call sheet solidified. So I'll watch full games, and I'll call a game myself. So it's first down. What are we calling on first down? Okay, we're probably going to call this, or probably base personnel, probably going to run the ball, depending on who we're playing. If we're playing the Chargers, we're going to come at nickel. And so I'll play a full game. I'll probably watch like 3 or 4 of the recent games, watch full games, and then therefore when Sunday comes, I already played the game. And so it's like Sunday's the week is the hardest part. Sunday is the fun part, because I already played the game. I already saw everything everyone was going to do. Yeah, you still need to execute, but it took stress off of me, because a famous quote, I remember D'Angelo Hall told me that, I think it was Kevin Mathis he said, D'Angelo Hall, you're a rookie and apparently you run a 4.1. And D Hall was like, yeah, I do. He said, but I guarantee you, Kevin said this to D'Angelo Hall, he said, I guarantee you I can get to this spot before you can, because I know the play's coming. He said, that's film study. And I was like, psh.
Yeah. I mean, that blew my mind just hearing all that. A whole day, just for first and second down, and then for third down, too. So then you end up playing in the Super Bowl. I was in attendance for that,
I didn't even mention individual matchups.
Yeah. So
studying players.
So where does that fit in?
So that I add that in every time I watch a situation. So like in 2015, when I was in Washington, every week I had a different matchup. So 1 week I had Odell, 1 week I had Julio, 1 week I had Greg Olsen, 1 week I had, whoever. So not only I played everywhere, mostly nickel, but if I had a matchup, I would watch the situation so I knew what was going on around me, but I will also watch the players to know what he was doing.
So then when you end up playing in a Super Bowl for the New York Giants, I was in attendance too. And how different is that layout since you do have 2 weeks to prepare? Does that change at all?
Yeah, I mean, you practiced hard the week before, and then the week of, you practice, but you're not going hard. You just walk through, but you're reviewing what you did. So you have the real practice the week before.
And there's a lot of media and
there's a lot of media and stuff like that. So, and plus you want to be healthy. So we have the real practice, all the situation stuff, and then the week of we just review, because we have mandatory media obligations, and you don't want anybody getting hurt.
Tell me a little bit about that 2011 season. Was that your favorite season that you played?
No, God no.
Really, despite winning?
I will say that was my favorite, because of the playoff run. Because I got there late. I got there towards the end of the season, early November. Because when I got released from Green Bay in 2010, I remember my wife woke up, was like, hey, I had a dream the Giants going to sign you. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, go to sleep, And sure enough, my agent called me 3 hours later, was like, hey, the Giants want to work you out. You're going to go to New York. And this is 2010. So I go to New York, and I remember I was in my hotel, and I think the Bengals were calling me, and my agent was like, yo, the Bengals going to call you? He said, do not answer the phone. He said, don't. He said, because you're in New York. I want you. The Giants is a good situation, especially if you pass your physical and work out. So I remember I go to see the doctor. My knee was jacked up, really bad from tearing it the previous year. And I remember the doctor was moving my ACL. He was like, dude, your knee's not fully healed. It's not intact. He said, but because I like you, he said, I'm going to let you work out. He cleared me, even though I straight up failed the physical.
How'd you get hurt?
Just making a cut versus the Vikings in the Metrodome. Boom, tore ACL, MCL, and meniscus. All that stuff. The whole deal. The whole deal. And so it was a struggle to come back, which is why I got cut, because I was never healthy, which is another crazy part about the NFL. and especially like they did the surgery, they did the rehab, and I still didn't recover. So I failed my physical, but I still go work out for New York, and by the grace of God, I felt good during that workout. So it was me, a couple like scouts throwing the football. It was and Dave Gettleman, and I ended up with one leg, ran a 4.58, and did the drills. And Dave signed me on the spot.
How different was your run when you came out?
Oh, I ran 4.41, 2 legs. So, but I tried to train, and I signed me on the spot. Remember, we played in Seattle that year. I had a couple good returns. And then as the year went on, my knee just, like, fell apart. And just my leg wasn't working, couldn't use it. But this is why I hold the Giants in high regard. I do because I remember – so when I signed with the Giants, I signed a waiver, meaning like, hey, if you get injured again – we're not responsible, right? And it was like a split in my contract too. So at the end of the year, I remember Dr. Ronnie Barnes, Byron, and I forget who else came in there, and they were like, look, I know we wrote this in the contract, but you really got to get your leg fixed. Mm-hmm. So right there, Ronnie ripped with the contract. He was like, pick any surgeon, pick any rehab place, even though, like, you're not part of the team anymore, like, he said, we'll pay for it the whole time.
Is that uncommon?
From my knowledge, that does not happen.
Seems like it wouldn't happen.
So, no, honestly, and this is during the lockout year, too.
Yeah, that's right, because I remember that was when Cam was a rookie.
Yeah.
And he came in, and I'll never forget that first game he plays the Cardinals and, like, broke the passing record for a rookie.
Right.
And that was a short season.
So that was a lockout. It was before right when the lockout happened. And I picked my surgeon. I went to Curlin Job, and he redid the whole knee, redid the whole thing, sent the bill. Giants got it. Every time I went to my rehab, Giants got it. I went to like 10 different doctors to get like different injections to like, help my knee heal. Sent it to New York. They paid it. They paid it all the way through until, I don't know. And I remember too when I left, Jerry Reese, former GM, was like, hey, here's my card. Like, let me know when you're ready. And sometimes they say it's courteous, but I was like, I'm going to call you when I'm ready. And sure enough, 2011 came. I got another surgery just to clean up some scar tissue. Giants took care of it again. And just keep in mind, this whole time, I am not a member of the New York Giants. I am a free agent, and they're paying for all my medical stuff, which they were not responsible for legally on the contract.
And this is also before you even talked to them?
This is after the first time I was with them.
Got it.
Yeah. And then I called Jerry Reese. I said, hey, I'm ready to go. He was like, okay, I'll keep you on the short list. They brought me in, I think, September for like a cattle call workout. Like 30 guys came and worked out. And then they put me on the short list again. And then I think a bunch of corners got hurt that year. I think there was like 26 guys on IR when I went over there. And they called me, and it was like, hey, they called me like on a something weird. You know when someone calls you when it's a team, because they will call you like 6 o'clock in the morning because I'm on the West Coast. So I knew like, okay, if it's 6 o'clock in the morning, it's a team calling me.
Team.
Yeah. That's what happened when I went to Washington too. They called me in a crack-a-dawn too. So yeah, Jerry Reese called, and I was like, we're going back to New York, and I went there in the middle of like the losing streak that was going on. And then I think we just dropped one to Washington. We go to New Orleans to get our head beat in. And then, and then all of a sudden, man, but that team was cool because it was a bunch of just grown men on that team. That's what made that team super cool. Is you look at any room, the DB room, right? We had Antrell Rowe, Deion Grant, like Corey Webster, like those are like the 3 like grown dudes.
Yeah.
Aaron Ross, KP, and then you go to the linebackers. Obviously Chase. He was a leader. Jaquan was a young buck on the team. You go to we had easily the best defensive line.
Yeah.
In terms of, we had an 8-man rotation. You got Kiwanuka, you had JPP, you had OC.
Young JPP,
young
too.
Young JPP and young Linville Joseph.
That's right.
Rocky Bernard.
And then you had Tuck.
And Tuck. Right. We had an 8-man rotation.
Yeah.
The
glory days.
The glory days, yeah. And that's just our defense. And offensively, obviously, we had running backs with, Brandon Ahmad. I mean, you don't get more grown man crazy than that. And our whole offensive line was legit. We had grown receivers.
Yeah.
Like we had the identity of a championship type of team. And then we had a coach who he put it all on us. Coach Coughlin, he put it all on the play. He had a leadership committee. He's like, look, if there's any drama going on, like, you guys handle it. If it's too big, then you guys bring it to me. And for the most part, like, the guys did handle it. Like, our locker room was like, look, you get a line, you might get beat up. That type of deal. And so, yeah, that team was big because everybody held everybody accountable. There was so much arguing, but it was like a family type of argument, because it was that close. And so I really got to see, okay, that's what like a championship team really looks like. And I saw the year before because Green Bay won the year I got released, so I got to see that be built. But I got to see really what it took, and it was like everyone being unselfish.
It's wild to me that you say that wasn't like your favorite year playing.
Well, because I had so much fun in Green Bay. Green Bay was fun.
They also drafted you too, so that's like a soft spot, or
I wouldn't call it a soft spot. I legit had fun. That was just like, it was out of control, just so much fun. Yeah, of course, it's not to just win a Super Bowl in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the dream right there. Because, you get to go down in Manhattan, the parade, it was just nuts. So
everything gets elevated in New York.
If you win in New York, dude,
that's a real
you're
thing.
good. You are. It's a rite of passage once you win in New York. It's like, it's crazy,
Think about, like, for as great as Odell has been, if he don't make that catch Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys as a Giant,
right?
He's still going to be a great receiver, but not to the point where dude has the most social media followers of anyone in the league.
Dude, if you're good, if you're really good on New York, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, and that's for every sport too. Like what's crazy, man? They honor the '94 Knicks so much. They never won a championship though.
They don't.
But they honor them because they were great teams, conference finals, NBA finals. But it's just crazy to think they didn't even win, but they're still honored and held to that regard. So then when you do win a championship.
I was just talking with my friends, my homeboys. I was like, what if Linsanity happened in Memphis?
No one care. It'd be just another dude on a winning streak.
It'd be dope. It'd be cool. But Linsanity happened in New York. I mean, he went out 2 months.
Yeah.
Scorching in New York. Bust Kobe in New York.
Yeah.
Dropped 38 on Kobe in New York.
For real, man. Linsanity was a real thing.
That was a real thing, because it was in New York. So, to your point, like, it was cool, like, to do that in New York. That was definitely, like, up there because the year before Green Bay just won. And I should have been part of that because I helped build that team. I was there for the whole 4-year rebuild.
That's right.
And then I got released that year, and that year they went and won. So for me to come back, New York, we actually went through Green Bay to go to San Francisco. That was pretty cool.
When the Giants beat the Packers, and then that year, I was stressing so much about playing the Saints. Because like you said before.
We did not want to go to New Orleans.
When the Niners beat them, I started telling my boys, yo, we going to the Super Bowl. They're like, you got to worry about the Niners. I was like, nah, we don't got to go to New Orleans, man.
We did not want to go to New Orleans at all.
That was like peak New Orleans, too.
That was peak New
Superdome, Drew Brees running wild.
And then once, like, those safeties knocked out everybody, that was the deal.
Man. Yo, I'm always fascinated by professional athletes. When did you know that you could go pro? Was there a part when
probably going into my sophomore year of college, because I started making magazines. I was on like the cover, like Sporting News and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, okay, this is legit.
But before then, it was probably an end goal.
You know what it was? It was, I want to say it was really an end goal. It was just more so like it was like one opportunity at a time. Because even when I was young, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know what football recruiting was like. My best friend Jamal's in here. Like, we never talked. I never talked about, like, I wanted to go to the NFL. I love football. I was diehard football. I always played football. I never talked about it. And I knew nothing about, like, going to a private high school.
Mm-hmm.
His brother ended up going to that high school I ended up going to, Bishop Hendricken. And that was a private school, and a lot of guys went there. to play against the best competition, to, get opportunities. I knew nothing about that. I knew nothing about playing college football. I didn't even know how it worked. Until my brother, he was a student at Boston College, and his roommate was a graduate assistant, and he told me about this camp. I go to the camp, and all of a sudden I got people talking to me. Like, hey,
You read my mind. I was going to ask you how you ended up at BC.
Yeah, and I had people talking to me, and I had no idea how it worked, and BC was my very first offer. They offered me when I was like 14 years old.
Damn.
And then the rest was history. Now I got to learn it because they're like, who the hell is this kid from Rhode Island that BC just offered? So that's kind of what it was for me. So my point is, like, every time I was like, oh, okay, I got an offer from BC. All right, now it's like, this is what it's like. Okay, I'm D1 worthy, And then same thing when I was in college. I knew like Will Green. I knew him. I knew he was like a first-round pick. He was legit, and I got to know him pretty well. But other than that, I didn't know anything. And then all of a sudden, I started getting talked about in magazines, and that's why I was like, okay, I'm getting talked about. And then my junior year, that's when agents start contacting you, and I was like, oh, damn, that's legit. And then once I saw, like, you can like fill out a petition to see like what your insurance is that covers, and if it's like, somewhere north of $1 million, that's kind of like, okay, that's what you're valued at. Then I was like, okay, I'm definitely getting drafted now. So every time it was like a process.
I always hear about those insurance policies.
Yeah.
So that's like an indicator to understand what your value is.
It kind of is, yeah. It kind of is. If it's north of $1 million, then you're probably going to get drafted. There's a good chance because that's where you're valued at. So guys kind of use that too. Should I come out this year or not?
That's why you see some dudes go back to school because their value might not be that high.
Probably.
Interesting. Huh. I always hear about those numbers, man, especially when like a guy gets hurt and they talk about the insurance policies and all that.
Right.
I didn't know it was that severe in degree.
It's that legit.
Yeah. Yo, what's it like transitioning into the second part of your career now with the
It's
media?
the hardest thing in the world because I've done one thing my whole life. I played football from ages 6 to like 36. That's all I ever did. My whole schedule was planned out for me. It was booked. I knew what tomorrow was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now I couldn't control tomorrow, but I knew tomorrow. I knew who I was going to play next year. Like I knew that. Where now it's like, okay, I got to make my own schedule. I run my own business. I got to do this. I got to do that. It's just different. So the adjustment is hard, but I would say I had a smooth transition because I already had stuff lined up, ready to go. So I've been very, very fortunate for that. Where I would say the majority is hard because it's literally like taking the hamster off the wheel. Because they're like, a lot of guys struggle because they don't know what's next. And it's not even a matter of like what's next. It's what else am I going to be passionate about? I played football because I was passionate. I loved it. And I put everything into it. So for me, it was more so like I want to find something else that I'm going to be passionate about, that I want to give my own. I don't want to just do anything. Like at first, did I want to go coach at first? Probably not. I didn't really want to coach. I started doing some studio stuff in TV, and I was like, this is fun, but it doesn't like
excite you.
It doesn't like it's exciting, but it doesn't like move me like football did.
Yeah, because you said with football, you thought about it the next day and you were looking forward to it. So maybe like with the media at first, you probably weren't as intrigued, but it grew on you.
No, it grew on me because I eventually I found a lane. I thrived in the whole wine space doing that. That's something I am super passionate about. And then I got to my mind is like more creative type. I kind of want to be able to do like what I want to do and talk what I want to talk about. And so when the Blue Wire opportunity came, that was kind of like, okay, this is it. I get to run, point guard, and then also have a shooting guard. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's cool to do that. So all those opportunities help me like get to like help me understand like what lane I want to be in. And so to do that, and then also I want to call games. And I started doing that. I called a game recently, a Mountain West game, and that's how I watch TV, right? So I'm like, if I watch TV like that, I want to call games like that. So,
How far into your career did you start thinking about doing these spots for media? Like, it was towards the tail end, but how much of that was on your like?
Nah, I wouldn't say that. I would say number one, what helped me was I interviewed well, and I wasn't a jerk to any reporters. Good game, bad game,
Any question?
get whatever it is, get mossed, the Odell catch, like anything. I'll talk about anything. And I gave them the time of day. And I gave everyone a point. I spoke the whole time. I was clear regardless. I was super chill to everyone. I was nice to everyone. And
Working with you too, man, with Upsets and Underdogs, I can see that too. Like your whole like setup is just laid back, low key.
yeah, and let's discuss it. Because I feel like too, like that's my opportunity to get the message right.
Mm-hmm.
If they're like, oh, what happened? I'm like, whatever. He just made a good play.
It's dismissive.
No, we're not. Well, it's dismissive, but also it leaves. That's just one sentence that I put into the article. They got to fill out the rest.
Yeah.
So let me give them majority of the paragraph, and they fill out the one sentence. So now the article is written how I want it to, because it literally came from me. I gave them a full soundbite of what happened. So where they're like, damn. Because honestly, if people don't, I'm thinking about this as we're talking. I didn't realize that was my strategy, but I was doing that. Because think about it. If you're doing an interview, you have a deadline. You got to write whatever. Let's say 1,000 words, 2,000 words. If you get an interview and somebody gives you
Marshawn Lynch.
If someone gives you but he's different though. He's a different, because it is what it is with him. He's funny. If I gave you at least 80, 850 words of your 1,000-word thing, I helped you, And so I would do a lot of local stuff too, local radio, local TV, a lot of things like that. And so I just built a relationship from day one on. So then when the first person, one of the people that I built a relationship with when he was a beat writer was Garofalo, when he was a beat writer for the Giants. So when I was done playing, the first person, I got a call from Fox, and it was a recommendation from Mike Garofalo. He was like, hey, you guys need to give Will an audition. He'll be good on TV.
Not burning bridges.
Never burn bridges.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed in
because it's pointless. You should. First of all, you never know, but why burn bridges is pointless because you just never know.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to talk to you about also is your love for boxing. Is that another passion of yours? Because I'm a big MMA guy, and I always see you tweeting more about you indulge in UFC, but I feel like I would define you as a boxing guy.
Yeah, here's the thing. I loved UFC. And
you said.
Well,
what changed?
I still like UFC, but I loved it when, the 205 and 185 was lit. You know?
Like John Jones and Anderson?
Even further back, we could say even when it was Chuck and Tito and
early stages.
Yeah.
But what changed?
The GSP, BJ Penn Wars. I know that's a little lighter, but what changed is Conor messed it up for me.
Dang.
Conor McGregor messed it up for me.
I don't know if it's a polarizing take, but I do feel like a lot of people feel that way about Conor.
The reason why Conor messed it up for me, because Conor is supposed to be the one. He's supposed to be the guy.
He's been the guy, though.
No, but he's supposed to still be the guy. Conor should never have lost to anyone, ever. And it's always because it's up and down for him. It's up and down.
I feel like he outgrew the sport. Like Conor outgrew MMA and UFC, and that's why he started doing the boxing thing. And there's that old, I think it's Hagler said it's hard for you to wake up at 5 a.m. in silk pajamas.
It is hard. It is.
So that's probably what happened with him when Mayweather throws, 9 figures at him?
It is hard, but that's what I'm saying though. But Mayweather gets 9 figures, and he can do that still.
Very fair.
He can still get up. You look at other sports. Like Tom Brady has 7 rings, and he's still pissed off, and still wants to get more, and is upset when he doesn't have a good practice. You know what I'm saying? It's all these great ones. They just need a reason. They just need a reason, and they want to obliterate everybody and really separate themselves. And it's almost like disappointed because I think Connor should have been that guy. And he made it cool. I was like, okay, yes, Connor's here. Especially like when you know his story too.
Right.
You know?
That's why people got behind him too.
Yeah. That's why I got behind him. That's why I got behind Dustin. Dustin came from the gutter too.
Yeah.
Like I watched his documentary Fight Phil a long time ago before he got to where he was. And so that's kind of what it is for me. But boxing, it started, again, my boy Jamal's here, started childhood, man. It was actually his family. They used to get all the big fights, all the big heavyweight fights back in the day. All the Tysons, all the Riddick Bowes, all the Lennox Lewis, like all those. And we would all get up and we would go to his house. And we started watching boxing. So it was more of like tradition where we always did that. So it got to the point where it was like just tradition for me to always watch big fights. Even if I wasn't like huge, breaking it down. And I just always stuck with watching big fights, and then it just grew on me to like really like learn and try to break it down. I'm just a massive fan, and that's how I watch it.
Yeah, there's always conversations about like boxing is dying and boxing isn't a draw, and then you see some of the purses that these guys make.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
you guys may get bored watching it on the film, but then you see these guys are getting broke off.
The thing about boxing, though, I feel like I'm more captivated by the main event in boxing. Whereas UFC, I went to UFC in Madison Square Garden. We were there for the first fights. Like, there's something about MMA, and I don't know if it's because there's more ways that you could finish. There's like submissions and there's head kicks.
Yeah, you don't know.
So that makes it more, why am I interested in this dude making his debut fight against this other guy who's on a 3-fight losing streak? But there's something that's captivating about MMA where, like, with boxing, yeah, I'll tune into Canelo or with Tank. Those guys, Ryan Garcia too, that have the big name appeal, but I'm not watching a dude that I haven't heard of. Whereas in MMA,
right, like those, and I would say that is for MMA. You're more attached to more people because you see the cycle between, the Bellator and UFC, and plus there's only a few belts.
That's my biggest complaint about boxing.
Yeah, boxing, there's so many governing bodies. There's so many belts. There's so many things. There's so much control. And that part is annoying. But, yeah, in UFC, you just have...
You know who the 170 is.
And legit, in UFC, like, if you can get caught tripping because there's so many ways to get finished, you get caught just that small, then you're done, Where in boxing, a guy can maybe not be at his best, and you hope the other guy's not at his best either.
Yeah. I think the dynamic of there being more ways that you could finish is what makes UFC, to me at least, more compelling.
Right.
So,
but I also love the fact that boxing, the guy can only do one thing. So it makes it more of a strategic chess match because you legit know we're just punching. There's only so many punches you can throw.
But don't you think it'd be more difficult for you to have to prepare for all the other stuff that MMA has to bring? Guy might shoot, guy might throw a head kick.
He might, yeah. But those things, but then you find out whatever he's not good at, and you try to dominate that portion of the fight.
Yeah.
Where boxing, it's one thing.
And everyone's a master at that one thing. That's a good point.
Yeah, everyone's a master at that one thing.
Yeah, because you always see it in MMA. You'll see, like, you're a boxer, I'm a wrestler. If I take it to the ground, it's probably quiet for you.
It's done. Yeah. Right. Like, okay, that reminds me of, who was it? Like BJ Penn was a good striker.
Yeah.
Right? And GSP just put him on his back the whole time. And his strategy was, he was like, I'll put him, because he said, because he's a good striker, I'll put him on his back. He said all the blood will rush to his shoulders, and he's going to throw heavy, light punches. They're not going to sting.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
And then you'll see people get mauled. Mm-hmm. Like Clarissa Shields, when she fought her first MMA battle, she's a boxer. Lady had her back the whole time. The whole fight. And eventually, she got up and finished her.
Right.
But, yeah, you can just eliminate something that they're good at. Boxing, no. You got to throw hands.
Yeah. Man. I'm definitely more of an MMA guy, though.
No, that's fair.
What do you think is the future of boxing moving forward? Because there's a lot of guys, especially like the lighter weight classes, that are starting to make more noise.
Yeah,
that are big draws too.
The lightweight is for sure. You got like I said, Tiafoe, he lost, but you got Kambosos, you got Haney, you got Garcia, you got.
Does it bother you that
Lomachenko.
those dudes don't like the last thing I want to say about boxing, bro, is like
they don't fight each other?
Yeah, man.
Because everyone is strategic. Everyone's managers want to find a way to keep making money. Because the thing is, apparently, if you get 2 undefeated fighters at the right time, it's going to be a huge purse. So it's not even so much about like them making money. It's the fact that their managers are strategically placing these fights in such an order so that they can capitalize on the most. Because it is all about money. It is. That's why you'll hear, rarely you'll see a fighter like, hey, I want this guy. Like Canelo, he calls his shots now. He's like, I want Triple G. Let's do it. Even, who's not afraid of anybody? Pacquiao will fight anyone on earth.
Yeah.
But what's he say? Let me talk to my promoter.
Right, you got to answer.
Go talk to Bob. Pacquiao will fight anyone on earth, but after every fight, he goes, you go talk to Bob.
Yeah, we're like the UFC, you kind of, it's like next in line. You got contenders. But that's probably because it's all under one umbrella. So it's easier.
Well, Dana's full control.
Yeah.
Which people don't like either.
The pay's bad compared to what these
right.
boxers
when he took away their sponsors, that was a wrap.
Yeah. Dude, we got to wind this down. We're over the time.
I know we got
Yeah. But yo, this was fun, man. It was also nice to meet you this weekend for the first time.
Yeah, in person, no doubt. I know we're 30 episodes in and we finally hung out now.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate you, man, because you helped a lot of things, play out for me. I don't got to wake up anymore at 3 in the morning to flip eggs. So a lot of that was because I'm doing the show with you, so I appreciate you.
No doubt.
Where can they find you on social media?
At Will Blackmon, everywhere.
A lot of wine, right?
Lots of wine. About to have wine in about an hour.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Clogging the lane, I'm feeling the strain. I'm here for the spot to be filled. Not to be cocky, but all of you watching while I'm in the cup paying property bills. Got it.